Traveling to Europe's most stressed and depressed country. Depression is a widespread mental health problem that has varied effects on people in different nations. Countries like Greece, Spain, Portugal, Palestine, and Tunisia are among the most depressed. The rates of depression in these nations range from 6.52% to 5.75%. It is crucial to remember that these rates indicate the proportion of the population that is depressed at any particular moment and can be impacted by several variables, including socioeconomic status, availability of mental health services, and cultural perceptions of mental health. According to analysis, living in Greece is the most stressful country in all of Europe. The study, conducted by CBD experts cbgully.mil, looked at European nations in the following categories to determine which ones were the most stressed out on the continent. The estimated percentage of the population with depressive disorders in the previous year, regardless of diagnosis, is known as the depression prevalence. Anxiety prevalence is the estimated percentage of people, with or without a diagnosis, who experienced anxiety disorders in the previous year. Stress level reports, percentage of participants who stated they frequently felt this way. Levels of melancholy reported by respondents, percentage of those who stated they often felt depressed. Levels of enjoyment reported, percentage of respondents who stated they haven't felt this way often. The average number of real hours worked each week for individuals aged 15 to 64 is known as the average weekly hours worked. After that, each component was added to an index, resulting in a final stress score of 100. According to the report, Greece has the highest stress score of 71.8 out of 100, making it the most stressed out nation in Europe. Greece was ranked highest on the list due to its high scores for the prevalence of depression and stress. Greece has the highest rate of depression prevalence in Europe, 6.52%, and the second highest rate of frequent stress reporters in Europe, 57%. The second most stressed out nation in Europe is Turkey. Turkey was the most stressed out country in Europe, with 64% of its citizens reporting high levels of stress regularly. With 49% of respondents experiencing frequent emotions of despair, Turkey likewise placed highest in Europe for this category. Together with Montenegro, Turkey has worked 42.8 hours per week, which is the joint greatest amount. With a total stress score of 71.2 out of 100, only below Greece, Turkey is the second most stressed out nation in Europe as a result of these factors combined. Portugal is ranked third in Europe for stress levels. Portugal, with a stress score of 68.4 out of 100, is the third most stressed country in Europe. The Iberian nation has the highest rates of anxiety and depression in Europe, with 9.08% of respondents reporting frequent feelings of anxiety and 5.88% of respondents reporting frequent feelings of depression. Malta comes in at number 4 and Cyprus at number 5. Malta received a high ranking because of its high weekly working hours, 37.9, and high prevalence of anxiety as reported by 6.97% of respondents. Malta scores 51.4 out of 100 overall for stress. Cyprus has a stress score of 50.4 out of 100. It reports somewhat higher levels of regular anxiety, 7.22%, but ranks lower than Malta for frequent emotions of melancholy, 22% compared to 25%. Cyprus also works 0.2 fewer hours on average than Malta, 37.7. There are multiple reasons for the high rate of depression in Greece. Since 2009, the nation has been undergoing a protracted socioeconomic crisis marked by joblessness, financial difficulty, and income loss. This crisis has had a significant negative impact on the general public's physical and mental well-being. Furthermore, research indicates that the elderly population in Greece is especially vulnerable to depression, with a wide range in the prevalence of depression among those over 60. Another contributing reason is the underdiagnosis of depression, as research indicates that primary care physicians frequently fail to identify depressive symptoms, which leaves affected persons without therapy or support. In addition, several significant risk factors for depression among Greece's senior population include the existence of chronic illnesses, losses in social networks, a lack of social support, and traumatic life experiences. Greece has a high rate of depression due to a combination of risk factors, underdiagnosis, and socioeconomic circumstances. Losing a job can increase a person's risk of developing depression and other serious mental illnesses, which can be hard to recover from, particularly if they are not receiving the right care, according to Stuckler. Untreated mental illness, just like other forms of illness, can escalate and develop into a problem that is much more difficult to treat later on. Risk accumulation. Greece has a youth unemployment rate of over 50%, and signs of public discontent are becoming more apparent. In Athens, it's not unusual to see groups of young people high on illegal substances on the streets. On Wednesday, a Greek senior hanged himself in the city, leaving behind a note that he had always worked hard, but had become indebted. Greece's crisis is in its 5th year, and many people's futures seem hopeless. According to economists, Greece has little chance of recovering anytime soon from the austerity measures, is currently facing cuts the health minister compared to being made with a butcher's knife rather than a scalpel. Those who are employed are facing freezes or pay reductions, and they always worry that they will be the next worker let go. Studies have indicated that psychological harm from this deep sense of insecurity is greater than any other factor. According to Peter Kinderman, a clinical psychology professor at the University of Liverpool in Britain, the effects of all this upheaval on mental health will be immediate and severe. Instead of seeing a slow increase in the epidemiology of mental illness, what we're seeing is what we predicted, that these economic impacts have rapid significance for our way of thinking about the world, he stated to Reuters. Furthermore, although mental health issues can be impacted by economic downturns, mental illness also has a growing impact on the economy, creating the possibility of a vicious cycle. The economic costs of mental health issues, which primarily stem from lost productivity, are projected to average between 3 and 4% of gross national product in countries that are members of the European Union, according to a 2011 research written for the World Health Organization, WHO. Furthermore, specialists note that the loss of productivity might endure for a long time because mental problems frequently begin in young adulthood. Essential window. According to Stuckler, there is a critical window for getting individuals in need of psychiatric assistance connected to resources that could be helpful. Additionally, there is a high-risk phase during which vulnerable youth feel left behind in the process of recovery because they haven't been able to achieve their goals. You don't want them to sink into being chronically unemployed, he stated, because that ends up increasing the costs and pressure on the welfare system further down the line. Though they began at a modest level, suicide rates are already climbing quickly in Greece. In the first half of 2011, suicide rates increased by 40% when compared to the same period in 2010, and by 17% between 2007 and 2009, according to a report published in the Lancet Medical Journal last year. Additionally, unemployment, poverty, and insecurity will cause a spike in demand for mental health services at the same time that they are being reduced based on the lessons learned from previous financial crises. Some people can be very profoundly affected and end up unhappy and depressed for very long periods, Kinderman stated. And I suspect some of the casualties in an economic downturn may undergo such fundamental changes in the way they understand themselves and the world that that way of thinking will last. Professor of Social Policy Peter Lloyd Sherlock of the University of East Anglia in Britain advises drawing lessons from the past. He notes that government data from 2002 shows a 40% increase in mental health facility consultations and a substantial rise in antidepressant prescriptions in Argentina, a country that saw a severe financial collapse between 1999 and 2002. According to earlier studies, there's a markedly higher chance of mental health issues among those who experience unemployment and poverty. Men are particularly vulnerable to mental illness, suicide, and alcohol misuse during difficult times. The research included in the WHO report indicates that mental illnesses are more common among those with higher debt levels. If the Greek economic woes were to continue for 10 years or more, probably the most important overall effect on mental and physical health would be a big increase in inequality, said Lloyd Sherlock. According to several experts, a crucial distinction was the amount of funds set aside for social safety programs including healthcare, unemployment insurance, and family support. Kinderman strikes an upbeat note when he looks ahead to what he expects will be less precarious financial times for Greece. He notes that while there is a chance that some people may experience long-term psychological issues, research also indicates that most people are capable of recovering when their financial situation improves. So this is the end of our today's video. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.